Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Callum here. Today I'm going to tell you about my latest AI orchestration platform or tool. It's sort of both. You'll see why in a minute. But basically, what I wanted to come up with was a way that I can sort of build a standard foundational layer for using MCP servers in a repeatable process. Obviously, with the advent of MCP servers, we no longer need to build sort of step-by-step processes. We can sort of just let an agent empowered by MCP servers figure out how it wants to do something and do it. And if we want it to do something specific, we can describe it just in plain English text, and it can work it out, or any language for that matter. Now, if you've used Manus or you've heard of Manus, this may be sounding somewhat familiar to you. This is basically how Manus works. Manus is basically just an agent that has a bunch of tools. It's cloud-based from a company out in China. You give it a goal, it will spin up an agent somewhere, it'll run a bunch of tools and eventually deliver your goal. There are three main limitations or issues that I've got with using Manus. The first one is you need to pay a subscription fee every month. In exchange for that subscription fee, you get a bunch of credits. And then if you want to use those credits, or if you don't use those credits, you're sort of wasting your subscription fee. You sort of need to very carefully plan your usage to maximize your value of credits. And I feel like that's an annoying way of doing it, because some months I won't have any ideas, some months I'll have too many ideas to squeeze in. Second big issue with Manus is you're limited to the tools that they give you. And don't get me wrong, the tools are very useful. They're generic, they do all sorts of things. But if I want to have like a custom MCP server that interacts with my specific, CRM or database, or does anything else for me, I can't do it. So you're limited to what Manus lets you do, which obviously means that there's only so much you can do with Manus. And the number one issue is, in order to interact with Manus, you need to type a message in the chat, press enter. It goes away and does it. It sends you the result back. You need to read it with your own eyes. So there's no API for Manus, which means you can't really integrate it with a more serious, repeatable sort of headless process that's running without anyone reviewing it, which does limit it to sort of, proof of concepts or playing around, but nothing serious. So that's where my solution comes in. I'm calling it TELOSCRIPT. Telos being an ancient Greek word meaning goal or purpose or reason. And so obviously the reason why I called it that is because you give this thing a goal, you give it a bunch of MCP servers and configurations, and it works out the rest. And I'm making this open source. It's got an API. So basically any other third-party service that's got webhooks or the capability to call an API can hook into this thing, just send it a plain text instruction of what you want, send it the configuration that you want it to use, and then it works out the rest, and it sends back a result as you instructed it to do. Now, this thing also comes with a Docker container, so it's easy to run in Docker, easy to deploy. Word of caution, I wouldn't just go ahead and deploy it on the open internet, especially if you give it any useful or powerful MCP servers as configuration, because obviously anyone can just call it and do whatever they want. So you will probably want to lock that down, but that's a problem for you to worry about, not me. So be careful with that. Anyway, without any further ado, let me give you some demos and show you where to find it. All right, so here's my freshly created GitHub repository, callumjs/telescript. I will link to it in the description. I've also purchased telescript.com, but as of the time of this recording, it is not redirecting yet. But basically, to get started, all you have to do is clone the repo, install dependencies, then you can run it either in Python or in Docker. You do need to set one environment variable, which is the OpenAI API key, and that's used by the orchestrator in order to actually use the MCP servers that you provide. Now, obviously, some MCP servers do need API keys, those are passed in when you actually use it. They're not set as environment variables for the orchestrator. Anyway, so once it's running, you can click these links, open them up, have a look. First one, Swagger. So obviously if you're interacting with webhooks or as some sort of automated process, this is what you're going to be connecting up with in order to do stuff. I also built this cool looking dashboard to test things out visually before you get up to that point as well. So in here, the first place you want to go is the MCP configuration. So basically any third-party MCP that you can find out there, or even a custom one that you've built yourself, you can plug it straight in here by just going new config and then filling out a couple of details. And that's all you have to do. And then, oh, by the way, it's some of these like Brave Search, GitHub integration, Tavily. You can get a free API key in order to use it. I recommend doing that because it's pretty cool. Anyway, and then once you've configured your MCP servers, you can basically just come in here and give it a goal, select which servers you want to use, and then launch, and it'll go away and do it. That's how easy it is to use. So let's give you a quick example. Research the coolest MCP servers available. Write up a report, MCP servers.md, and save it to the provided directory. Okay, so obviously a pretty simple one to get started, but I'll just give it access to the file system, give it access to Tavily to search the internet, and then I'll just orchestrate. And so what happens now is it's going to launch a new agent. It's going to start creating an execution plan and performing tools. So here's the execution plan that we've got. So this is basically a step-by-step process of what it's doing. If you ever used Manus before, this will look pretty familiar. And obviously, if it starts doing it and then it changes its mind halfway through or whatever, it can update the plan as it goes to add extra steps or change the steps and so on. And that's pretty much all you need to know. At the moment, it's just going to keep running until it is finished. All right, and it's finished. We've got our little notification up here. We can look at the details to see what happened. So we've got an overview of what happened. We've got an execution plan. We've got execution log. We've got our result. A comprehensive report on the coolest, most innovative servers have been created, saved as MCP servers in this directory, blah, blah, blah. So I can go ahead and open that. Here it is. This is the file that it created. There you go. So there you have it. I hope you appreciate the flexibility and usefulness of this tool, because pretty much anything that you can do with an MCP server, you're going to be able to do with this thing. Not only do it, but also do it in a repeatable, automated fashion if you want it as part of a workflow, and completely headless if you want, so no human in the loop at all necessarily, unless you design it as part of a process that has a human, obviously. So I would encourage you all to try it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're using it for. I'm very interested to hear what different people come up with in terms of what to do with this. And yeah, go ahead and star my repo, like, share, subscribe to this video, all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Bye.